After that, I just sort of space out for about an hour. Till I'm thirsty.
Space out?
Yeah, I just stare at my desk. But it looks like I'm working. I do that for probably another hour after lunch, too. I'd say in a given week, I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work.
Back when I was a teenager, I used to have a terrible routine. Back in school, what I'd do, I'd try and make enough of an effort and try not to fall asleep in lessons that I got by. And what I would tend to do was complete my homework before I got home. That way when I got home, it was just all chill time. And what that meant is playing Xbox with my mates and chatting all night. I think what we all used to play was either Halo 3 or Battlefield Bad Company 2. And I can't lie, I've got some really great memories of those games. I would spend twice as much time playing these games as I would doing my homework. Today, I'm a lot more strict on my leisure time, and the reason for that is because I find that the more strict you are on your leisure time, it means that you're more likely to do, at least in the work week, more meaningful and productive things. I think that matters a lot more than wasting time on watching TV and things that don't really advance yourself in any way. Anyway guys, here are a couple things that I do to help deal with distractions and procrastination. Now starting off is doing things in short bursts. Now it is said that a goldfish had an attention span of around 9 seconds. That is not really much of a surprise, it's a goldfish. But for us, what is actually surprising is that our attention span sits at around 8.25 seconds. And that's surprising that we've got less attention span length than a goldfish. That's actually crazy. And I remember reading that our attention span since the year 2000 have gone down around 25%, which is actually nuts. Now, that's kind of scary because our attention spans are probably going to get a lot worse. Okay, so rather than thinking that you're some awesome all-rounder, jack of all trades sort of thing, you can't do everything. You have to realize that a lot of humans can't multitask. We can't do a million things at once. We can't be WhatsApping our friends, but at the same time, trying to do our day job or any other activity that requires you to use your brain. The first thing you need to do is establish your limits. And this is to have an awareness that rather than trying to do daunting tasks in large blocks of time, it's trying to do bite-sized ones in smaller amounts of time and just dedicating yourself just to that action. For example, if you wanted to write a chapter of a book a day, what you could do is set a timer for 90 minutes, and then whilst that 90-minute duration is happening, you're doing nothing but writing that book. And when it gets to the 90-minute mark, what you could do is set a timer for a 10-minute break, maybe go for a walk or read a book. And then when the timer is up, you can come back and then do another 90 minutes and so on and so on and so on. The thing is, it's much easier to do sprints than it is to do a whole friggin' marathon. For example, if I was going to apply this to myself, every week the editing and producing process for these videos sits at around 10 hours. If I was going to think about it as a 10-hour day, for example, where I just do nothing but edit videos for 10 hours, I'm probably going to get distracted. I probably will get bored. I'm only human at the end of the day. There's probably going to come a point where I do not want to work any longer and it's just going to affect my mental health. The way I edit and make these videos now, it's usually just quite a bite-sized way. And I find that the closer you are to the end of your goal, the more intensely you work because you can see the finish line, you can see that the end is in sight. So it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy that you work harder, the closer you are to hitting your target. But what I tend to do now is just pretty much do a couple hours at a time, and then by the end of the week I've got a outline of a video, I've got the clips, I've got the footage that I filmed for myself, and it pretty much falls into place, and the rest is history. Now moving on to my second point, this is embracing the power of small wins. Momentum is really powerful. It's usually anchored by a lot of small actions that happen consistently. And I think the saying is, even a blind squirrel can find a nut. I actually felt a lot of resistance at the start of this year in trying to get back into my good habits. I started doing the 5 a.m. club routine last year. So when I was trying to do it this year, I think it took me until the 16th. 16 days into this year before I could even get the courage to start getting up early again. That's embarrassing. That's really embarrassing.
What is that? What the f*** is that?
There's so much resistance in getting up early and doing those intense workouts that I usually do. And the truth is that we can all do things a little bit better, bit by bit. So if you're going to gym and you want to get that bikini body ready for the summer, maybe what that means isn't going intensely 6 days a week right off the bat, intense workouts, you're tired and you're demotivated after not too long. But maybe what that looks like is going to the gym 3 times a week for half an hour, then doing 4 times a week, then doing 5 times a week, and then upping that duration to an hour. And applying this to myself, the way that I actually started getting up at 5 a.m. again was by actually setting my timer 15 minutes back every single night. So that way I'll be waking up 15 minutes earlier each day, to the point I actually managed to get up at 5 a.m. So it shows that jumping in the deep end is not actually going to help you any much more than just doing it bit by bit by bit. But moving on, obviously everyone knows NASA, they send spaceships into the sky, and that's probably the extent of my knowledge about them as an organization. It's actually most intriguing because when they do actually have these spaceship launches, they burn the most amount of fuel when they're trying to get the ship off the ground. Not when they're in orbit, not when they're reaching the orbit, it's when they're just trying to get off the ground. And why is that? It's because the momentum of takeoff actually sets off a chain reaction, meaning that it can pretty much fly into space with literally no resistance. And all of this is caused by the initial push and sustained momentum through that push. Yeah, never underestimate momentum, guys. So the final way to beat procrastination is by systematizing your life. So when most people set up goals, I actually think it's with the intention just so that people can be impressed. I've done this, you've probably done this. This is not going to change. Whether that's setting up a 7-figure dropshipping business or quitting your day job, a lot of people actually fall at the first hurdle. However, guys, I want to take you to one of the most successful businesses in the world's history, and that is McDonald's. Now, why is McDonald's the behemoth fast food restaurant franchise that everyone knows about? Is it because McDonald's has the best burgers? No. Is it because they have the best customer service? The answer is still probably no. The reason why McDonald's as a premise and a franchise is just so revolutionary is because everything is systematized in that business. And what systematization looks like, it's pretty much the amount of salt that gets put on the fries. It can be the positioning of the appliances or the utensils in the kitchen. It's exactly the same or similar to every other franchise that is within that business. And how you should apply this to yourself is that you want to find your system, your daily system, and stick to it. A lot of what helps McDonald's succeed as a business is because a lot of things are automated. And my suggestion to you is finding ways to automate things in your life without having to think too hard. And this is the best way to create some of the most productive routines that would be useful to you. Anyway, guys, that is it. If you like this, comment, like, and subscribe, and I'm sure I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.